Hello everyone and welcome back to MainStage 101. My name is Ian Cunningham, here to show you the basics on how to revolutionize your high-quality keyboard performance with MainStage 3. The next lesson I'm going to be teaching you is how to connect your keyboard to your MacBook Pro. The first thing you need to understand is that MainStage responds to data sent from your keyboard known as MIDI data. The most common way to connect your keyboard to your MacBook Pro is with a standard USB cable, which is what I have set up here. Most modern-day keyboards have built-in USB ports that are made specifically for this purpose. If your keyboard doesn't have a USB port, there's also the option of using a MIDI cable to connect to your Mac. Usually, if your keyboard doesn't have a USB port, it will most likely have a MIDI output. The first way that you can use a MIDI cable is to connect it from your MIDI output on your keyboard going into the MIDI input of an audio interface. If you're going with this method, I don't recommend using the Scarlett 2i2 because it doesn't really have MIDI capabilities, but most of its larger I/O series will work better for this purpose. Now, all of these are very doable methods to connect your keyboard into your MacBook Pro, but just to make it easy on yourself, if you're just getting started, I highly recommend just using a simple USB port to connect your keyboard to your MacBook Pro. So once you've got your keyboard connected to your computer, the last thing you want to do is assign your keyboard. Basically, assigning means linking a physical controller to what is built inside the software. In order to assign your keyboard, the first thing you want to do in MainStage is click on Layout. Then click the on-screen keyboard. Next, click on Assign and play around on the physical keyboard. Once you see the virtual keyboard responding to your playing, click Assign again to complete the process. The next thing you want to do is repeat the same assigning process with your sustain pedal. So again, click on Layout, click the virtual sustain pedal, and then stomp around on it like a few to maybe 7 times. And as you're doing that, you should see a reaction coming from the sustain pedal. Once you've completed your process, click on Assign to complete the assigning process for your sustain pedal. The last thing you're going to want to assign is your modulation wheel. So again, click on Layout, then click on the on-screen modulation wheel, then click Assign, and then you should see numbers changing from 0 to 127. Once you've completed this process, click on Assign once again, and you've completed assigning your keyboard to MainStage 3. Once you do this process, you don't necessarily need to do it again unless you're using a different keyboard. And every time you use a different keyboard, you'll have to repeat the assigning process again, which isn't really that hard, but it's very helpful to keep in mind. Okay, so now that you have a handle on connecting your MIDI controller to your MacBook Pro, the next thing I'm going to be teaching you in my upcoming video is basic sound design and how to utilize the EXS24 sound library within MainStage 3. See you then.